The Galactic Council had long viewed humanity as an anomaly quiet, self-reliant, and too disciplined for a race so young. While other species bickered, traded, and flaunted power, humans expanded inward, building, researching, and avoiding conflicts. To the elder races, Earth's behavior reeked of concealment. Secrets, perhaps power, buried under their stoic silence. When trade envoys were turned away from the Saturn colonies for the 5th consecutive year, whispers turned into suspicions. Something was being hidden in that lifeless orbit. They sent Keller Wren of the Valkyrie, a hybrid diplomat and cybernetic analyst, to investigate. His mission was simple: audit the colonies of Titanus Prime under the pretext of resource arbitration. He expected bureaucratic games, perhaps a few hidden military developments, maybe some smuggled tech. He did not expect reverence, ritual, and silence. From the moment his ship entered Saturn's orbit, he sensed something unusual. The transmission channels were heavily encrypted, security drones swarmed like hornets, and planetary scans showed inconsistencies vast underground, voids emitting no thermal data. Titanus Prime looked like a military base wrapped in a civilian shell. Landing protocols were stiff. Ground crew refused to speak directly, funneling him toward a reception hall guarded by towering exosuits and silent human envoys. Ambassador Alara Wynn met him with a calm, almost sad smile. Her uniform bore no insignia, only a silver crest unknown to any galactic registry. Her words were carefully measured. "Welcome, Keller. Your presence was ... anticipated." The word choice struck him. Not expected. Anticipated. He requested immediate access to their energy and infrastructure. "Logs," she denied politely but firmly. Titanus Prime's archives are classified under Earth Sovereign Treaty Protocol 17. Only internal audit teams may inspect them. When he pushed harder, she said nothing, only turned and offered tea. He filed a priority-level grievance with the Council. While waiting for approval, he explored the outskirts of the colony. Human architecture here was different, minimalist, reinforced, ancient in aesthetic. Some structures seemed built around much older material, like scaffolding wrapped around ruins. Then came the energy signature. Hidden beneath the southern magnetic pole was an irregular flux field. Not fusion, not solar. Something rhythmic, pulsing, like a heart. He scanned it discreetly until human AI patrols forcibly shut down his link. A cease and desist notice followed instantly, signed by Earth's Central Defense Authority. That was enough. With Council override codes now approved, he confronted Alara. "You will take me to the source of the signal, now." She did not argue. She did not resist. She simply nodded. "Very well, follow me." They traveled beneath the colony, via rail into a section marked Zone Null. No records of it existed in any Terran blueprint. As they descended, the walls changed. Steel turned to obsidian-veined stone etched with symbols, not human, not alien. Something in between. Keller noticed Alara whispering under her breath. It was not a prayer, but a preparation. The rail stopped. Before them stood a massive door, carved from a single block of black alloy. Its surface shimmered with embedded circuits glowing faint blue. 10 meters high. No visible mechanism to open it. Alara stepped forward and placed her palm against a triangular seal. The metal shifted, disassembling itself without a sound. Behind it, darkness loomed. The air was dry, thick with dormant static. Then came a low, ancient resonance that settled in Keller's bones. The chamber was colossal. Keller's senses struggled to grasp its dimensions. Rows of titanic objects rested in the gloom. Not buildings, ships, or at least they resembled them. Each structure was in possibly vast curved holes, layered in dark metal, lined with dormant weapon arrays. Names were etched into their sides in a language long dead. Leviathan, Ember Crown, the Morning Star. The names burned themselves into Keller's vision. He stepped forward, heart thundering. "What are these?" Elara's voice was quiet. "They are ours, but we did not build them. We keep them as instructed." Keller blinked. "Instructed by whom? We don't know." The records were fragmented. What little survived said they were part of the inheritance fleet, buried across moons and asteroids after ... the reset. The reset? A collapse? Something wiped everything before Earth's modern cycle. These ships, what you call war, machines are from before recorded time. They were sealed and buried. Humanity lost the stars once. These were the seeds left behind. Keller walked to the nearest vessel. He activated his scanner. Its systems were offline, but the core pulsed, faintly like a resting heartbeat. The hull bore no seams. The tech wasn't just advanced, it was metaphysical. Folded space frames, quantum reactive armor, something close to sentient computing in a dormant loop. It wasn't human, not in design, but not alien either. "You're telling me you found these things ... and kept them secret?" Elara nodded. "For over 2 centuries. We unearthed them piece by piece, always careful, always silent. They respond to our DNA, but only partially. Some require ... something older, something that hasn't existed in millennia." Keller turned. "Why not share this? Why hide them?" "Because you would not understand. You would see weapons. We see warnings. They were not built for conquest. They were built for something else, something we haven't yet remembered." His mind raced. These vessels were more than relics. They were keys, warnings, or weapons for a threat that hadn't yet reappeared. He opened a channel to the Council. As his message uploaded, the dread settled in. "Council command, this is Keller Wren. Immediate response required. Humanity possesses artifacts of unknown origin and catastrophic scale. Possible pre-civilization technology. Immediate diplomatic reevaluation recommended. Recommend high-level containment protocols." As the signal left the chamber, Elara stepped beside him. Her voice was calm. "One of them has already awakened, only partially. During solar cycle 1035. What did it do?" "It fired a test volley. We were calibrating its reactor. 1 pulse discharged." Keller stared. "It destabilized Ganymede's lower crust. We declared it a natural quake, but we knew the truth." He looked back at the rows of slumbering giants. "How many are there?" Elara met his eyes. 16 in this vault. More in the Martian expanse. 1 under Europa's ice. We haven't found them all. Why now? Why let me see this?" She hesitated. "Because we are nearing the date carved into the core. A countdown of sorts. It ends soon. And when it does, something else will begin." The air shifted. One of the ships let out a low vibration. Keller didn't need translation. The sound meant only one thing: awakening. Keller stood frozen, the low vibration still echoing through the chamber floor, reverberating through the walls like the pulse of a sleeping god beginning to stir. His ocular interface flickered momentarily. Sensors scrambled to process the shift. In ambient energy, the air ionized subtly. A pressure built around the core of the vault, as if reality itself was bracing for something to resume. Ambassador Ilara Wynn remained composed. That's the Leviathan Prime. It reacts sometimes when outsiders are nearby. We believe it's still bonded to something. Or someone. Keller stepped back, maintaining distance. Bonded? Cores are not mechanical. They're cognitive part. Synthetic, part something else. They listen, they dream. When disturbed, they reach. The older ships show stronger responses. He activated his neural relay and commanded a low-level scan from his personal AI. The readout that streamed into his cortex was maddening power sources unclassifiable, construction methods incompatible with known industrial models. The mass-to-volume ratios defied gravitational constraints. It wasn't just a ship. It was an impossibility wrapped in purpose. He approached the vessel, named Ember Crown. The hull shimmered with an iridescent pattern, like liquid metal frozen mid-motion. Its energy signature pulsed, slowly alive but resting. His fingers hovered inches from the hull. A soft chime whispered through the chamber, musical but unreadable. "We believe they were made by an ancestor race," Ilara said. "Predecessors. Of humanity, but far removed. Not in evolution, in divergence. Possibly parallel timelines converged. We can only speculate." He narrowed his eyes. "You're saying humans didn't evolve this technology? They were left behind by a branch of themselves? More likely a prior phase of what we became, something cyclic. History collapsing inward. The Council would never accept this. If proven, it would rewrite the timeline of civilization, placing humanity at the center of a forgotten golden age, now reawakening with the force of empire." He tried another scan, deeper this time. Immediately, his interface short-circuited. A sharp static tore through his skull, and he staggered. A dull pain throbbed in his temples. Ilara moved to steady him, unfazed. "They don't like being scanned," she whispered. Kale, or wiped the blood from his nose. "This tech, it predates the Council's oldest markers. These ships shouldn't exist." "That's the point," Ilara replied. "They're not meant to. Not until it's time." He turned toward the morning star, its name etched into the side with ancient Terran glyphs worn smooth with time. This was the one she had said fired a test shot. What did it use to fire? No conventional energy. It didn't discharge plasma or antimatter. It generated a directed space-time rupture, a fracture beam, if you like. It tore gravitational geometry like paper. The result wasn't an explosion. It was a subtraction. A subtraction? We lost a piece of Ganymede. It simply vanished. Keller stared at the ship, mouth dry. "And you've had this power for years? Years since discovery. Decades since activation. But longer than you think since awareness. And the Council. We told no one. Your species would have panicked, or worse, stolen them from us. This is a threat to galactic stability." Ilara shook her head. "No, this is what stabilizes it." Keller looked around again. There were at least 16 visible warships, each of them a fleet killer, perhaps a world killer. His heart pounded with an inescapable truth. Earth was no longer a minor species. It was a dormant superpower, now half awake. I must report this. Full disclosure, strategic review. We know, she replied. We allowed it. You were brought here deliberately. The implication stopped him. You wanted the council to know? Not everything, just enough. The awakening begins soon, and we can't face it alone. But we also won't surrender this legacy. The council must choose wisely. Keller's thoughts raced. Choose what? Submission, alliance, war. We hope it will be the second. He tapped into the emergency channel and broadcast an encrypted stream. The response from the council was instant, chaotic. Agent Keller, confirm this data. Warships? Titanus Prime? Prehistoric? Is this fabrication? He responded calmly. I confirm. The data is real. Humanity possesses 16 vessels of extreme, non-council origin. Capabilities unknown. Recommend immediate. High-priority summit. More messages flooded in. One from the Jiraxi Consortium demanded preemptive strikes. Another from the Lanthri Pact proposed annexation. The Veari delegation wanted diplomacy. Keller muted them all. He turned to Ilara. They'll never let this stand. They won't have a choice. She lifted a hand, pressing her palm to a small pillar at the edge of the vault. A ripple moved through the ceiling. Slowly, with seismic weight, the upper chamber peeled open. Starlight poured in. The hulls of the warships caught the glow like ancient armor. One ship, Memory of Ash, activated a partial wake protocol. Its core pulsed with a steady beat, then it spoke. A low tone filled the air, and a language unknown to Keller emerged, harsh, angular syllables like steel grinding against time. His translator struggled. A partial output scrolled across his vision. Protocol alignment complete. Echo pattern matches. Sentinel pair sequence verified. Awaiting final node. Keller turned. What is the final node? Ilara didn't respond immediately. Her face was pale. We don't know. The ships speak in riddles. They await a signal we haven't deciphered. Possibly another vault. Possibly another species, or an event? An event? A return, or a collapse. We have different theories. The ship Memory of Ash displayed a star map mid-air, projecting constellations Keller didn't recognize. Stars blinked red, others were crossed out. Some sectors were labeled in dead languages, entire regions of space marked null or erased. These coordinates, Keller whispered. Some of them are gone, stars that were here 1,000 years ago, destroyed, consumed, or something worse. We think the ships were part of a containment strategy. Not a war fleet, a cage. Keller stepped back. You're not preparing to attack anyone. You're preparing to seal something. Ilara nodded. That's the working theory. But we still don't know who built them or what they fought. All we have are fragments and warnings. The vault dimmed again. Memory of Ash returned to rest. The silence returned. Keller stared at the ships, now glowing faintly in the starlight, like relics remembering dreams. The council would demand more. They would press, threaten, maybe even invade. But he knew in his bones what these ships represented. Not dominance, not power, but fear. Legacy laced with terror. The kind left behind, not to be used, but to be buried. And humanity had just begun to dig. Keller stood in silence, the image of the fading star map still etched behind his eyes. What disturbed him most wasn't the red blinks marking dead systems, nor the ancient tongue of the ships. It was the implication that humanity wasn't preparing for war, but bracing for something worse. Something coming. He faced Elara, the quiet gravity of her expression matching the cold dread building in his chest. Why didn't you reach out to the council the moment you discovered them? She didn't blink, because they would have come to claim, not to understand. You saw their reactions already: war, annexation, control. These aren't weapons for conquest. They're relics, locks, and we're the last ones left holding the keys. Keller took a breath. You said Earth inherited them? From whom? She turned away, leading him deeper into the vault, toward a smaller chamber behind a thick spiral gate. The walls here were smooth, etched with flowing carvings and indecipherable inscriptions. The ceiling glowed with a soft golden light. Elara, Keller said, slower now. This isn't human architecture. She nodded. It predates every known human structure. We found this chamber intact beneath the lunar crust, thousands of meters down. The ships weren't scattered randomly. They were hidden with intention. This was a civilization that existed before recorded Earth history. They spoke a root dialect of Terran language, used base 8 mathematics, and harnessed temporal distortion as casually as modern species use heat shielding. Keller's skin prickled. A precursor civilization. You're saying modern humanity isn't the beginning? More like the reset, she said. We suspect there was a collapse either internal, like an AI revolt, or external. After that, surviving lines regressed. Earth became a cradle again. Myths, symbols, even languages passed down in corrupted fragments. We didn't evolve from apes alone. We rose from ash. He stopped walking. Then the warships are not weapons of empire. They're monuments, reminders, instruments for a purpose long buried. She brought him to a circular platform. As she stepped on it, the floor illuminated. A soft hum activated surrounding panels. Images shimmered into view holographic recordings in dusty gold and pale green. A figure stood at the center, humanoid but elongated, more elegant than current. Humans. Eyes luminous, arms wrapped in layered circuitry. It spoke in a clear, deep voice. The translation AI struggled but managed fragments. Preservation protocol engaged. All contact routes severed, locking sequence initiated. Final vault entrusted to echo lineage. The image flickered, then zoomed out. A massive celestial map expanded across the room, showing thousands of dots, planets, systems, regions all slowly being darkened. As if snuffed out, another line emerged. If this archive awakens, containment has failed. Keller's chest tightened. So this is not a vault of power. It's a warning beacon. Possibly both, Elara said. They knew something was coming, or already here. He looked at her. But how do you know humanity is the right lineage? The true inheritors? We don't, she admitted. But the ships respond to us. Not perfectly, but enough. Our blood, our signals, they activate partial sequences. Some command codes only respond to very specific genetic patterns, older even than modern humanity. Keller furrowed his brow. Older? There are traces in isolated lineages deep, in unaltered genomes from early Terran tribes. We found correlations. Certain humans carry signatures that the ships interpret as command authority. We call them echo bearers. Most don't even know they have it. He shook his head slowly. And these echo bearers, do they control the ships? They interface, the ships listen to them. Sometimes they speak back. Speak? Elara gestured to another sealed archive. The door split and opened without her touching it. Inside sat a dark console. As Keller approached, the lights activated. A voice filled the chamber calm, emotionless, ancient. Connection accepted. Sentinel node registering. Inquiry has. The breach occurred? Keller's heart skipped. Breach? What breach? Containment breach status. Pending confirmation. Awaiting seal cycle protocol. Elara looked down. This is Watcher Vault 3. It contains communication logs between the ships. Not between crews, between the vessels themselves. They share data constantly encrypted, layered, recursive. Keller leaned closer. What are they watching for? Return pattern. The signal. Entity identified as the silence beyond. Keller turned to her sharply. What is the silence beyond? We don't know. That phrase repeats across multiple logs. The ship's memory cores describe it as non-material, extra-dimensional. It doesn't conquer, it consumes context. Erases history. Systems touched by it vanish from memory, maps, even time signatures, like they were never there. He stepped. Back, pulse racing. You're telling me this isn't just a weapon vault. It's the last firewall. Elara nodded. Humanity thought we were building toward the stars. In truth, we were rebuilding from them, from what came before. These ships were never meant to dominate the galaxy. They were meant to hold the line. Keller's knees felt weak. The Council, they wouldn't understand. Not truly. They would view this as a threat or a resource to harvest. They had no concept of preparing for something that could unmake memory itself. The chamber darkened again. One ship, the Morning Star, activated a new sequence. Elara's comlink flared. It's awake again, she whispered. Third time this cycle. A soft tremor moved through the vault. Above them, the roof plates trembled. Elara stared upward. We think the ships are talking to each other. We think they sense something. Keller didn't need more. The evidence was overwhelming. His role here wasn't about inspection anymore. It was revelation. Or confession. He looked at her, voice low. What happens when the Council demands custody? We'll say no. They'll come anyway. We'll be ready. We've reactivated 2 already. The 3rd is close. He exhaled. You've known all along this was going to happen. Elara finally turned toward him. Her expression was tired, ancient in its own way. We've been waiting centuries, but not for the Council. For the return. When it begins, the galaxy will. Need shields, not rulers. Keller looked around the ancient vaults, at the sleeping giants, at the shimmering maps of forgotten stars, and for the first time in his life he realized humanity was not a mystery because they were hiding something dangerous. They were a mystery because they were guarding something worse. And now it was stirring. The Council convened within hours of Keller's report. A rare emergency summit held not on any central world, but in deep orbit to minimize external surveillance. All major factions were present, some enraged, others alarmed, and a few eerily silent. The Juraxi demanded immediate sanctions. The Viari proposed a fleet inspection. The Lanthri threatened containment strikes. The Valkyrie, Keller's own people, remained split. His live transmission was projected before them all, as Keller stood in the great vault beneath Titanus Prime. The colossal shapes of the warships loomed behind him like statues of ancient gods. His voice carried across systems. I confirmed the existence of the vessels. They are not human-built in the modern sense. They are prehistorical constructs of staggering capability. Humanity has uncovered, preserved, and partially reactivated them. I urge the Council not to provoke or misjudge Earth's position. He paused. They are not preparing for war. They are bracing for return. The Council exploded into argument. Words like escalation, containment, preemption, and inheritance war flew between factions. The notion that a species as young as humanity had inherited technology surpassing all known records shattered the Council's perception of balance. Then Earth responded. A single transmission arrived public, encrypted but deliberately left, open long enough to ensure receipt. Ambassador Elara Wen stood against a backdrop of black alloy and pale gold light. Her voice was calm, her face steady. This is a formal message from the Earth Sovereign Coalition. We confirm the existence of the inheritance vaults. We confirm partial reactivation of ancient defense constructs predating known galactic civilizations. She continued, unfazed by the implications. We did not build them. We do not claim to fully understand them. We have only guarded them. And now they are waking. That process cannot be reversed. Across the council chamber, silence fell. These ships are not instruments of conquest. They were forged to contain a threat that has no name, no form, only effect, the erasure of history, of identity, of memory. The silence beyond is real, and the seals are weakening. She looked directly into the camera. We do not seek control. We offer unity, cooperation. But make no mistake, if provoked, these ships will defend themselves. We will not hand them over. We will not disarm. We will not kneel. Then the screen went black. The vote was chaotic. Juraxi pushed for military action. Vayari abstained. Smaller factions splintered. No consensus could be reached. The council fractured into blocksome. Urging diplomacy, others preparing for confrontation. Keller returned to Titanus Prime, not under orders, but by his own will. He knew now that Earth was no longer just a geopolitical question. It was a firewall, perhaps the last. He landed on the surface again, escorted by human sentinels through silent corridors, lined with sigils of long-lost meaning. Elara greeted him without words. Together they descended once more into the chamber. This time, something was different. Leviathan Prime was active. The massive ship had lifted from its cradle. Its underhull glowed with geometric lights like a beating pulse. Gravimetric fields stabilized its weight against the vault walls. Around its frame, magnetic rails had detached, and a low harmonic frequency filled the chamber, like the resonance of 1,000 bells echoing through empty time. "Where is it going?" Keller asked quietly. Elara didn't answer at first. It received a signal. We're still trying to trace it. Deep space origin, non-linear signature, possibly entangled, possibly a distress call, or a trigger. The ship began to rise through the now open vault ceiling. Its presence seemed to bend reality as it moved. Space warped gently around it, as if the universe remembered it and had to make room. Keller watched with awe. It was the size of a city, not crafted, but grown, like a cathedral designed by forces. Beyond reason. As it passed into orbit, he followed her to the command tier. The Leviathan's course was logged, outbound to Sector Null 7, a region long marked as dead space. It was moving with purpose, not aimless, not exploratory, deliberate. "What will it do there?" he asked. "We don't know," she admitted. But all the ships in the vault received the same signal. Leviathan was just the first to respond. Keller turned to her. "And if the others awaken?" "We follow. We activate. We prepare." He watched the feed silently. Then the internal AI, still linked to memory of Ash, pulsed a new message into the vault. "Sentinel Unit 04 en route. Pattern recognition aligns. Containment integrity compromised. Preparing grid initialization. Awaiting echo activation." Keller's breath caught. "What is grid initialization?" "Best guess?" She said softly. "A last resort net. A lattice of ships. A shield for the galaxy." The next line chilled. "Echo activation required. 2 nodes missing." "2?" he asked. She nodded. "Some vaults are still hidden, others lost. We only have fragments." Keller turned away from the console. His mission, once a simple audit, had become a witness statement to history, awakening from beneath the dust of myth. He looked back at Alara. "Will the Council listen?" "No," she said. "But they'll understand once they see the sky." Change. The transmission ended. Across the outer systems, ships began to report gravitational anomalies. Beacons flickered. Ancient satellites, long dead, flared to life and broadcast coded pulses. Humans called them dreamer signals. The galaxy called them noise. But they were neither. They were signals from a time before memory, a call to arms, a warning, a gathering. Back on Titanus Prime, one final message streamed from Leviathan Prime before it left the solar system. Protocol 7 active. Echo bearers located. Final alignment in progress. Last wall initializing. Time frame insufficient. Warning. Silence vector accelerating. Keller stood beneath the sky, watching the faint silhouette of the Leviathan vanish into the black. Humanity had not risen late. It had not lagged behind. It had simply waited for the darkness to stir again, waited to become what it had once been, and the stars, for the first time in ages, braced themselves for war, not against humans, but behind them, because humanity was no longer questioned, it was the answer.